Good evening and welcome along to the Monday night Talkin Kop. We got 4 people in tonight, which sort of takes us back to the old days where we used to have 4 people on the shows of a Monday night, and a Tuesday night, and a Sunday night, and a Wednesday night. But joining me tonight, below me, is Pete, all the way from Madrigal jail in just outside Barcelona. He was out for a few days to show Gav around Barcelona, which was fair play to the two of us. Hope he's held hands and had a lovely time together and went for a nice meal.
No, he didn't show up. He was too busy.
No, he was working with my colleague, doing the business.
Had a great time.
Good. It's good to hear that you turned up for a change, Pete. So fair play to you. That's well done. That's a step change in what normally goes on.
I have representatives on here.
So hold on. So for anyone that doesn't know, when you tell Pete you're going to Spain, he just go amazing, and then you turn up in Spain and you ring Pete and go, where are you? And he goes, Bulgaria. You know, no matter when you turn up, he's just in a different country. Like he just literally got no plans whatsoever, and then he goes, one of these pricks is coming over. I'm booking myself into some other country. So that's how it goes.
That's a go. Then joining me to this side here is of course Gav Doyle, man behind the stuff,
the wire,
and the things,
the man behind
and
the wire,
and the wire, and the cameras and the setups and everything. Cameras
I have a story to tell.
And then down there is Bertie. Now Bertie might look familiar. That's because the all-encompassing gene that's been floating around.
That is the Lawsons.
Yeah, Dublin South Central. It is, of course, Bertie. Bertie's one of the Lawsons, so we'll say no more. We're bound to get. You can see the head, the similarity in the head. I actually thought for a second it was Paddy with his head shaved, trying to pretend he was somebody else. Right? Yeah. So that's all I got to say.
I get that all the time.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's what Paddy would have looked like had he not gone to Turkey. Anyway, right. So
twice.
I went off to get a hat, so I was that Bertie didn't feel on.
Someone did ask why is Phil wearing a swimming cap.
Somebody said, why am I wearing a swimming cap? And Jesus, Phil, I thought you shaved your head. Just to let you know, I haven't. It's going crazy at the moment. It's actually completely out of control. I was gradually turning into Robert Smith from The Cure, but that's why I'm just keeping the hat in to keep it all in control tonight. Anyway, we're back on. We've got 4 top. Do you know? No, that's not. Do you know what I mean? We're going this way tonight because I just feel this way is a bit impersonal. Do you know, this is a bit sort of like I'm trying to hide something, and you see like fighters and do it, and I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover. Anyway, that's where we go. Anyway, tonight we've got 4 topics. We're going to talk about many different things, and I'm going to open the topics here because I paid no attention to what Gav sent back to me today, which is my typical professionality.
And I even make the effort. I even make the effort to text you because if I leave a voice message, you have a breakdown.
That's fair because I don't bother listening to voice messages.
And you don't bother reading text either. So what's the fucking point?
Read texts.
Right. I'll just send smoke signals up next week.
Smoke signals.
Yeah.
Smoke signals. John, I'm
Morse
not trying to get you
via
back.
plumes of smoke.
Reliving my New Kids on the Block days. Right? So that's where I'm going with this. That's what it's time to bring it back. Anyway. Oh, look, I'll just take it off. There's too many people going on with the hat. I'll just take the hat off. They just can have crazy hair instead. Anyway, so we're back in the place to be. We're going to be talking about 4 topics tonight. Pete's going to be talking about either that Erik ten Hag is a loser, everything are crap, or something to do with the Liverpool squad, right? And I didn't look, Pete. Which one of those? Is it one of those 3?
It's all I ever want to talk about.
Is it one of those 3?
The squad.
Right, great stuff. Right, Gav wants to talk about footballers or ex-footballers writing books and becoming novelists. Right.
Sorry, in particular, I want to read out book reviews on the books that Steve Bruce wrote in 1999/2000.
Spectacular. I'm all.
Do you know what he called them? Striker, defender, and sweeper. Excellent. And they're crime novels. I'm going to read out the reviews to them because I read 4 lines of one review, cried laughing over me dinner and said, I'm leaving these till later, I'm not wasting them.
Right. We'll keep that there. And Bertie, since it's your first show,
it's not his first show.
Isn't it?
No, it is with you. It is with you.
First show with me, yeah. So it's first show with me, right? Which is important. Yeah. So it's with me. Right? It's a special show. It's with me.
It's special, Harry.
But Bertie, anyway, tell you what, right? Since this is your first show with me, and you're honoured, why don't you open us up with the nonsense written in the media that's taken as fact? I hope you're going to mention your man from the Athletic. What's his name? The fella who writes all the transfer
Ornstein.
stuff.
Ornstein.
David Ornstein Romano. Right,
Yeah.
you work away there, and you let us in behind the curtain, and let me know. Come here, you don't have a light in your house, do you?
It is on.
Point towards it, just help, right? Because at the moment you look like John Keenan on a phone call from 1984.
I've
right?
told him this before. You need a light on behind the laptop.
Yeah. Not look. That's they're much better. Absolutely much better. Right, go on.
Fucking Bertie must have 3 bulbs in that lampshade, and he takes one out at night to save fucking a few quid.
Oh, that's just a little
fuck's sake. Go on. It's that fucking energy saving. It's off, for fuck's sake.
Now, my big issue is the print journalism. I think it's fucking awful. I think it's absolutely terrible. There's only 2 I really read now. It's your man Jonathan Liao of The Guardian, Barney Ronay. And I know he'd be a pain in the hole, but I think they're awful. Am I frozen there, am I?
No, you're alright, go on.
No, we're listening. We're paying attention.
No,
Bertie's on wind-up internet as well, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's the worst internet in the world. Yeah, I just think they're the only 2 I actually read because they kind of get it from a fan's point of view. But any other articles or anything like that, say you go onto the Mirror, they'd have 10 articles about one thing that happened in a match, and then they'd we'll go through that, and then they'd have another match, another 10 articles, or another part of the match, or a player in the match that's 10 articles. It's just awful. It's awful to read. And you have to read it because you're being work or whatever you're doing, you're just bored. But it's so bad. It's lowest common denominator stuff. It's just, like I said, Barney Ronay and Jonathan Lau, I think that's his name, they're the only 2 I read because they get it. But the other stuff is just, it's like football for idiots. If you know, I know we're not bleeding geniuses at fucking football, but it's the lowest. Like I said, it's really bad. I just can't get into it at all. And it's on the Daily Mail. You see it in the Mirror, the Independent. Any of these things you click onto, and it's just it's poor. It's not real. It's not real football journalism, and it actually puts me off football sometimes because you read it and it's so poor. And it's like one-sided, or they have an agenda on a certain thing, or they're afraid to say anything, which I understand, especially with the City thing and stuff. So, yeah, that's my thing. That's my gripe. It's just bad journalism with football. It's not like years ago when you had Hugh McElvenney or something like that. He was a brilliant writer and stuff like that. But the journalists now are just so poor. So that's my gripe anyway with modern football at the moment.
Pete, because you're not showing these things, right? So, what do you? Where do you go? I'll come back to my view. But what about you? For you, sports journalists, football journalism?
The problem is unfortunately, everything is sold and directed at an audience. As you well know, this film started in the United States and it seeps through like a virus to the rest of the world eventually, and everything has become partisan and for sale. Martin Samuel is the worst perpetrator probably ever. Yes. He's been shilling for Manchester City for a number of years. I think it's blatantly obvious, Bertie, you'll probably agree with this, blatantly obvious that he's on some form of payroll or benefits directly from the club. And now he's just started in a similar internship with Newcastle United. There are a few rogues who give you hope. The likes of... and I'll go directly from the right, if you will, to the left. The likes of Rob Harris, who has probably short-circuited his career in terms of being boycotted for trying to report what is the truth. In fact, Rob Harris indirectly at his Sporting Intel, and anyone that's interested in the truth, have a look at his Sporting Intel on Twitter. He's very, very direct, very smart guy. He has been attacking Manchester City, and whenever he tends to say something, he was one of the first guys to report that there were charges, but Manchester City had an injunction against those charges, basically paid to stop, and that they had employed Lord Panic, who defended Boris Johnson, obviously, in their employ. So that's the way it's gone. There's guys in the middle who are drifting towards the right, like Henry Winter. I like Henry Winter's writing, but he's a bit Chelsea for me, to be honest with you. But as a writer, I like. But to be honest with you, Bertie, I'm in your corner. Guys like, I don't know. I mean, I miss guys like Eamon Dunphy as a writer. Eamon Dunphy was a very good writer.
Right,
Who didn't seem to have a price. You know what I mean? Forget about the television cartoonish stuff. When that guy put pen to paper, that's what drew attention. I mean, if you read his book that he wrote, I think sometime in the 70s, I remember reading it years ago, just being blown away at the insight that you got.
I read that book. Yeah, it's really good.
Incredible.
Really good.
But the problem with journalism is, and Phil is probably going to come in here even heavier because his knowledge of US sports off the chart. It's just now mimicking. It's mimicking. And a telling sign, a lot of people have picked up on the fact that Sky Sports seem to know the timeline of when Everton's appeal result is going to be, because they seem to have blocked off the next 24 to 48 hours. So there's a lot of nods and winks because there's agendas there, and it's real journalism. Bertie is dead. I mean, you only have to look at print media in general. The last great journalist in Ireland, besides Veronica Guerin, was probably Vincent Brown. Real journalism's dead. It's now partisan for sale. These guys are now correspondents for the highest bidder, to be honest.
Yeah. What's his name? Eno Doherty. Is it Eno Doherty? He's kind of... It's Eno Doherty, is it? It's the journalist.
Yeah, but
he can be a bit hit and miss as well. But yeah, I know what you're saying. There is very few good journalists left in Ireland. So yeah,
nobody's prepared to report on the facts, to be honest. And I understand everyone has to make a living. If somebody representing an agency, and that's how it works. You get recruited into an agency as a journalist, and the agent decides, okay, here's who you're going to write for, here's the agenda, and by the way, here's the salary, and here's where you're going to be visiting Abu Dhabi, you're going to be visiting, Qatar, in order to cover specific events that become junkets, to be honest with you. So the agenda is not specified in the contract, but it's obvious what your slant must be, and that's what it's become.
Gavin, as a journalist, what's your feelings?
I find the vast majority of journalists deplorable, to be honest with you. And I use the word journalist very, very lightly. Listen, I'm not going to tell you I go on and read the fucking Independent every day, and I don't. Most of the world passes me by. I'm too busy working and looking after my kids and everything else, right? But what I will say to you is that it's part of me blames the people that write the stories for it, but part of me kind of makes me think if they don't do it, there'll be someone else found to do what they're being asked to do, which is literally create whatever kind of narrative or hysteria that they want to create in order for people to click on it. And do you know what? I only seen it today, and it was on Instagram, so it's slightly different. But it was a fairly big, well-known football account, which would be, they're not like, it's not a one person job. This is a company, right? That and I know a couple of people that deal with them, and basically it was a picture of Xavi Alonso, and said Xavi Alonso will be the next Bayern Munich manager, right? And when you click on it, it just has underneath, do you think this will happen? So I'm like, it's all just for clickbait now. And look, I know it's very hard for people to ignore it. You see a story and you go, what? And you click on it, and it turns out to be absolute rubbish. And then when you go onto their websites, there's 77 ads, where you're trying to just read one fucking paragraph, and it's buried in between some board fucking new fucking sanitary towels and some fellas buying a new lawnmower. Do you know what I mean? And in between those two ads, there's a fucking paragraph about football. When it comes to, look, talking on the Liverpool side of things, there's one I only trust, and I go out my way to look at, and it's Paul Joyce, because he's genuinely, I believe, the only journalist that doesn't get the kind of, I have the inside track on Liverpool. Doesn't go on like that. I think he is fed information when the information's ready to come out, and judging by what he says and the timing of it, you can trust him. But it's just it's just out there now. All they want is, look, you're not buying newspapers anymore. People aren't subscribing to newspapers anymore. I doubt even online the price or the the sales of them are huge. So what they need to do is they need to drag people in with, these kind of headlines that you kind of go, oh, what's that? And when you click on it, you're accessing 5 ads and they're getting paid. Whether you think it's bullshit or not, they're getting paid. And maybe that's what you have to do now to earn a living. I had held out hope on The Athletic when it first started, because they were doing long form stuff, they were doing investigative stuff, and it looked quite good. And I know they were charging whatever it was a month, but it seemed, the way they were going down, writing about sport and writing about, certain subjects and going kind of deep dives in them, it looked really good. But then, you go back to whenever it was last year, was it not November before last maybe, and it was like they just came out with the biggest one of all, proclaiming Liverpool Football Club are for sale, and they were definite about this. They're for sale, they're up for sale, and the sale of that club never came around, never got mentioned, and to the point where the club went, we always look out for opportunities, but we haven't rang bleeding, Sherry Fitzgerald and went, listen, put the for sale sign out on Anfield there, we're selling. So you see where that's gone now, and it's just the way it is, lads. Like, it can be quite upsetting for people that like reading stories, reading newspapers, reading good articles, but they're few and far between now. They're absolutely few and far between, and it's just the way the industry's gone. It's a rat race to sell as many ads as you possibly can, and that's just the way it is.
I'm probably the least qualified to comment at this stage because I gave up reading stuff about football probably about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to read stuff. I subscribe to The Athletic. I find it a really excellent sports resource in terms of what you're looking for. But most of the stuff that I read in The Athletic has nothing to do with football. Straight up, right? The stuff that you might read is the tactical stuff to understand the trends and stuff that's going on in it. But I don't read stories. I genuinely don't read stories because it's all just made up. It's an agent, it's a player, it's somebody giving a journalist an in on one side of the story. And every story, as we know, has 2 sides. So if you don't have both sides, you don't have a full handle of the story. So you're just making decisions and you're making a call based on whatever level of engagement somebody's wanted to put out there. Liverpool have been quite good at burying whatever they want to bury until they want to let it go out. I can think back to the Rodgers days and the Hodgson days when everything was known by people that were on Twitter. Days, weeks before it actually happened. Whereas now we're seeing a different modus operandi since Klopp has been in the building. That's the only major.
That might be gone when Klopp leaves.
What?
Do you worry that might be gone when Klopp leaves?
It depends on who takes over and what type of relationship they want to have with the media themselves. There's some managers, like Mourinho was a great man for feeding the media in terms of what he wanted to get out there and be in control of the narrative to a story all the time. And a lot of managers are like that. They want to control what the narrative is and what's being said because that guarantees them their next job. So anyone who is be seen to be friendly and seen to have them on side in certain situations, they gain because they know they're going to line up another big job in terms of what's there. As for, I don't think there's a single English sports writer in football that's worth paying money for. That's pretty harsh criticism, but that's what it is. And that's why I very rarely read it. I do, as I said to you, I enjoy the Athletic. I enjoy the coverage that's on there for the non-sort of story-based stuff. But they do get to the end of when the stories do break, they tend to have really good analysis then. But the future-facing stuff, which is, as Gav said, is my biggest thing, is it's all just designed for you to click in. And most of the stories you see on every website are the biggest teams. It's United, it's Arsenal, it's Liverpool, it's Real Madrid, it's whoever it is the big team that's there because they know they're guaranteed that it'll appear up in searches and people will click on the link and go in. To Pete's point around American sports, like I'd argue the contrary, Pete. Like most of the American sports that's out there, see, it's a very different system because the guys that you'd see on television are paid generally by the the leagues themselves. So you think of the NBA network and you think of the NFL network. A lot of them work in those areas. The Premier League isn't run the same way, and outside of that, it's very regional. So it's much more. There's much more access, and things are a lot more open in terms of the type of access that these journalists have, because they get to go into the locker rooms and they get to create relationships with the players, like one-to-one relationships that are open and that are there. So yeah, for me, no, it's like I'd say like it's harsh. There's a few good ones: Paul Joyce, Neil Jones. As I said to you, it's few and far between. And like I'm not saying that these guys aren't good at what they're doing. They're classic old school club journalists, club reporting journalists. But I'm for me anyway, it just doesn't rock my boat. And I wouldn't, like you say, the print media. I wouldn't buy a newspaper anymore. Why would I? I can access all the content online, so it just doesn't make any sense to do. Right? Straight up in terms of what's there.
I think, Phil, though, the alternate reality stuff I have a problem with. You know, this alternate facts that's crept into sport, for example. I mean, that I have a real problem with that, and I think most people have. You know, listen, Everton are our rivals, but we live in a world where they're forced to the post to be punished. Nobody else is, and then all of a sudden they're being taunted by, you know, all of this alternate facts and what aboutism, and you know that's where journalists, all of these journalists, have failed.
Well, I don't think they have failed on this. Not because it's Everton. I think that the whole hysteria going around it, I think is a bit mad, and I see both sides of that. And without getting into Everton, I think your man is it Auclair, is that his name?
Philippe Auclair.
Yeah.
Philippe Auclair, the French guy.
Yeah, he has written, him and another guy have written 2, I think, brilliant pieces on the possible takeover of Everton.
Is that's the Josimar football?
Josimar,
yeah.
And it's absolutely excellent. But again, it's not journalism that you will find, you know, as you're walking by a paper stand. It's not journalism that you'll find, you know, some fucking idiot on the internet reposting and going, oh my God, you know, this sort of thing. It's actually, I actually seen it, I don't know who posted it, but it was like a must read, brilliantly put. And when you go through it on Everton, you know, the point stuff will take care of itself, but the actual ownership is a much bigger issue here at the minute. And I have to give them a shout out now that I think that Josimar and Philippe Auclair is absolutely outstanding when it comes to 777 and Everton.
But again, that's old school and it's long form journalism, and that's the bit that's lost at this stage.
Yeah,
that's genuine
analysis, and because people's attention spans, you know, that's what disappoints me. You know, you have to, in order to get the value of something. I think that was Bertie, part of your original point, Bertie, that it's gone with people's attention span. The need for instant, to be forced. Gav always says this: to be forced, not to be right or to be gathered, or to be considered, or to, you know, to analyze. It's to be forced, and then it's tomorrow's chip paper, or you can have to scroll.
But you see this online. Like the other day, I seen a tweet, and again, I don't know who it was from, but it was like, hearing news now that something is wrong with Salah or something's wrong with somebody. Hope it's not true, but that's what I've heard. And all of a sudden, you know, they've covered their arse, but it's gone everywhere now. And there's hundreds of people on the internet going, or thousands of people going, Salah won't play Wednesday or whatever, Nunez won't play, Nunez will miss. And it's like, seriously, like that, there's no basis to what's being said there, none whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like there was fellas on Saturday afternoon telling you that Jota was out for this amount of time, and speaking with authority, like Jota's out for this amount of time. It's possibly this sort. It looks like it's this sort of fucking injury. And I'm like, are you a surgeon? Are you a consultant?
Gav, just on that, right? This is the proliferation.
Some fella standing in fucking Greg's tweeting this.
No, but what's happened here is that the likes of Sky think that fan culture are the fellas who pawn off rumours on the internet, right? So you have this whole sort of walk to the bottomest rung that you can possibly find, thinking that this is some type of brilliant fan culture and that this will rival the type of stuff that you put out. that the Anfield Rap put out. That it isn't. What's recognised in most places is that you have lots of good fan-led content, which is essentially the old version of fanzines, long-form articles that used to be on the internet, blogs and stuff like that. That's what this has replaced. But journalism, to a degree, is it's these lads. It's so saturated. I'll go back to the product that's being sold in England is so saturated with anyone who's gotten half a level of credence because they stuck a rumor out there and got enough followers that people sort of paid attention to what was going on. Right, so that's where it's gone to. And it means that it's dragged down the better journalists into the world of clickbait articles and stuff like this. So when you talk about the likes of Martin Sam, he was one of the worst journalists that ever existed. How he's going is beyond me, but it's the whole sort of London media mafia that keeps him going. And he's clearly taken, he's clearly, if he's defending Newcastle and Manchester City, I won't say he's being paid off because that would be the wrong thing to say, but it's not even libelous, people. And I didn't say it, so it can't be. But what I will say is that he's obviously he's obviously been given access or given priority access to interviews and stuff like that, and he's prepared to take the line that's being given to him by the various clubs and support that line, knowing that contrary opinion to what's out there as the popular belief is one that will generate people's clicks and engagement with his articles, which validates his position as a journalist.
And Phil, the people that bought that opinion are very clever. Because Samuel's original opinion was that the multi-club ownership model was completely flawed and terrible for the game. So these people are very smart. They buy in at a level where they want you to be convinced that a high-ranking journalist has had a road to Damascus moment because he's seen how your wonderful operation works and why it's great, not only for sport or football, but for humanity.
Yeah,
but
that's where... But you see, the thing about... I don't want to get the City, but the thing is, right, bookmark all these fellas, because when the City stuff comes around, right, if City are charged with 20% of them charges, they won't be in the Premier League. Right? And then we'll see how many journalists are willing to go down to the Etihad on Saturday when they're playing Forest Green and, tell the world how good they are. And there won't be one of them. There won't be one of them. The only thing they'll miss is the food they get served at the Etihad, which is meant to be exquisite. Other than that, they won't want to know because they'll be on to the next one. What is selling ads? And that's it. You might get City for a couple of months because of, look what's happened to them. But what it is now is, the words on the page don't matter anymore. What matters is the headline that you can fit into that little block where people have to click to see more, and when they see more, they immediately, that page is registered, it has 5 ads in it, and you've clicked on it. And if 1 million people do that, that's 5 million ads sold. Whether you scroll up and down, that's ads sold, and they're making the revenue off that, because they're not making it off subscriptions for the newspapers. They're not making it off the fella that shouts Herald or Press outside Duns when you're walking by that they used to do years ago. You're not buying the physical paper. You're not subscribing to the paper. What you're actually doing now is you're not even reading their articles. You are literally, they're getting you to click on a page and automatically rack up their income via ads. That's all it is now. And you know what happens? When that's the goal, the quality will always drop. Always drop. And that's where it is right now.
Yeah.
I think you can see a difference in quality in smaller sports to bigger sports. So if you go and look at the writing that's for smaller audience sports, and when I say smaller, I mean the ones that don't take up the column inches on the front pages and the ones that are there, you tend to find that there's a better standard of writing in it because there's less people concentrating on it, because obviously the money they're going to make in it is nowhere near as big as if they're a successful football journalist or club journalist or whatever it is. But that tends to be where the best writing is. So that's where I'd encourage you. People don't believe it, go and have a look. Look up the smaller sports. Hockey, cycling, sports that have a following but have a niche following where people go to read things and want to understand what's going on.
These would be people that their heart is in it more. They're more willing to... They're going out of the way to report that sport. So that's why... It's like honesty does help in the long run. Like this, the journalism now, it's not honest at all. And if you're not honest with your say your clients or whatever, after a while they're just going to walk away. They just don't want to know. They don't want to care, and they're not going to care about football. And that's my worry, that the journalism is so poor, it is so bad that people just go, I'm not interested anymore. I'm not interested in the game anymore. Because people, you like to be educated. I like to read an article. I like to be educated. I like to know about the club, this player, that. But you're just getting the barest, the briefest of things. After a while, you're not going to be interested in that sport. So that's the way. That's what I was looking at with the journalism angle. I was just thinking that if you're better educated, you better like the sport. You like the sport better, and that's just me. That's just the way I am. But look, we're going down that road of clickbait, so it's sad. I don't like it. It's sad, but it is what it is at the moment, unfortunately.
Totally agree, Bertie. Great topic, mate. Really great topic.
Okay, Pete's put on this list. It has a fourth topic now. We've been going on about 2 minutes.
Next week, Pete, I just want to talk about the newspapers. The newspaper around read in the style of Eric Ten Hag.
Sorry, lads, it didn't take a while that time.
Sorry.
Pete, you want to talk about the squad standing up to injuries for the running? Can I just remind you, November, you said their squad was shite and that we had no chance of having a league title.
And I mean, again, couldn't be any more wrong. And I'm happy. I'm happy. I mean, I said that Caoimhín Kelleher wasn't good enough at all. And what an inspired decision by the club to reject 15 million quid, ironically from Brentford and I think from Nottingham Forest for him. He's been absolutely outstanding when called upon. I mean, I don't feel only you are qualified to tell us what it's like. Well, I know you were never out of teams, but what must it be like to come in every 10 games and look like you've been playing every game, particularly at that level? Like, it's, you have to hand it to him. And I have to say about the fullback, the youngster from Northern Ireland, I don't think I've ever seen across the course of his first 90 minutes people describe a young player as if, God, if anything happens to him, we'll be in a lot of trouble across those 90 minutes. I mean, maybe Michael Owen, but we didn't have social media back then the way it is now. But it went from, oh yeah, he did okay at Bolton, to what would we do without this young fella? Do you know what I mean? He's pulling up trees within the same 90 minutes. He's been outstanding. Jones, who has his, Gav, I know Jones is one of your favourite players, has his critics. But again, you can see that he's learned on the job, does the simple things, does ridiculous things that are on now, rather than ridiculous things that aren't on. He pulled the ball out of the air in one of the air, maybe against Norwich, done a Cruyff turn on the spin and started an attack off the back of one of their corner kicks. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Harvey Elliott, who I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, for me, Youngfla knows his place. Knows that he is not a guaranteed starter, but his job is, when we're stale, to come on and absolutely change a game of football, and is happy to do that. I mean, it's incredible. Jota, the best example, the shining example of how strong the squad actually is or / was before he got injured now, unfortunately. But came in again as if he's been playing all season, 4 seasons. I cannot believe how strong. And I think, to be honest with you, maybe only the lads know how strong our squad is, because definitely the opponents don't. Because I think a few opponents have been a little bit startled at how aggressive, confident and able we have been going at teams this season with a perceived weaker 11 or weaker squad.
Can I go? I think when we were talking about this earlier, it was like, the way the squad is and what's left in the season, and Liverpool able to cope with it. And I think for what we have out, I think we're possibly the only team in the league that can cope with it. And that's not blowing smoke over Liverpool's arse. I think if you look at the players that are out for Liverpool right now, or before the game at the weekend, and what's out after the game, because you're looking at 2 injuries. Núñez looks like a possible concussion. He'll miss the game during the week. The talk about Salah aggravating whatever he had as well. And then you have we players at different tournaments and all sorts of stuff. I think if you're looking at any other squad losing that amount of big players, I don't think they'll handle it. And I include Man City in that. I looked at Man City's bench at the weekend and I kind of went, there's a few popping onto that bench now that I don't really know their names, and they haven't played an awful lot of football. But look, people are going to be worried over between now and the, whatever it is, the third weekend in May, when it comes down to, or even beyond that, because I think the FA Cup and the Europa League final is on after the end of the league this year. And look, you've every right to be worried because of the amount of players out. The only thing I will say is that I think Liverpool kind of started off this season with something to prove off the back of last season. I think the players that they brought in, we hope to bed in quite quick, and they have. And they've all to me, and from the coverage I've seen and the way they speak, they've all really bedded in quickly and bought into what Liverpool are trying to do. When you marry that in with what Jurgen Klopp announced a couple of weeks back and has known for the last 3 months or whatever, the reaction has been outstanding from them since then as well. So I think that stands to them. And we are short on numbers. There's no doubt about that. But I said it last night on the show. Liverpool, before these injuries come up, we're kind of doing it in let's get through to a certain game because Salah will be back and Endo will be back and Szoboszlai will be back fit. And, we're doing all this. We have to just do that again. We literally have 3 league games and 2 cup games before we go and play Man City on the 9th of March. And we just have to navigate this. And if we pick a player back up, like a Núñez, hopefully a Jones, Szoboszlai coming back in, hopefully a Trent, if we can do that within those 5 games and be successful in those 5 games, we go into the 9th of March, top of the table. We'll be in the next round of the FA Cup. We'll know who we're playing in Europe. And, we could have a League Cup on the table as well. So it's not so much looking towards the end of the season for me with this squad. It's looking over and keep putting in blocks of games. Because even if you have a fully fit squad, you don't look to the end of the season. You look at, here's the next 4. What can we do in that next 4? What will happen this? What will happen then? Will Arsenal do this? Will City do that? We have to do that anyway. But I think we have to kind of look and go, our goal is to get to game 3 and Trent comes back. Or we get to game 2 and Szoboszlai comes back and whoever. And I think if we manage to navigate this, I think it might be a bit more of a boost to Liverpool than a hindrance, if you know what I mean. If we keep winning games and these players keep coming back, everyone around you is going, these are still winning and they're still bringing fucking players back for the last 10, 12 games of the season. So that's where I am on the squad. I get people's worries without a shadow of a doubt. Games that would look straightforward are kind of going a bit iffy here. Not because of the players on the pitch, it's just, asking 15 players to do it constantly is hard. When we had 18 and 19, we were asked to do it of top quality. So just strap yourselves in, see what happens. But if Liverpool manage these next 4 or 5 games successfully, you're basically going to see 95% of a full squad left. The only thing you're not going to see is Bajcetic, Thiago and Jota. That's it. That's where we are.
Who's not got earphones in?
I'd say Bertie has no earphones in.
Is that where we're getting the echo from?
No, don't worry.
Have you no earphones in?
I went on mute just in case. It's not me.
Hello?
It
was when you were talking, Gav. When you were talking, Gav, we had a clear echo, and I was out there going, "What's going on?"
Yeah, well, listen, come here. I don't want to hear any more about fucking sound, right? We come on last night. Keith's laptop had a meltdown, so he come on his phone. He could have just said fuck off, but he didn't. He come on his phone. I had to lower Keith down because he was very loud. I lowered him down. I hired everyone up, and then you just had people moaning in the fucking comments, like just going, I couldn't hear that. I actually played YouTube back after the show last night. It was perfectly fine. I listened to the podcast download this morning. It was perfectly fine. So people either have stuff turned down or in one ear. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. But I just cannot be fucking bothered with sound tonight. I really couldn't.
Oh,
if someone has no earphones in, there's an echo coming out of the laptop. We're gonna have
was that the technical explanation, Gav?
Yeah. I'll
Happy days. I'll have that.
Ashley L says we mentioned an echo and Bertie just looked behind him to see where it was, which was amazing.
Well, I'm drinking whiskey, so
yeah.
There's no echo here.
No. You see, Phil, I can't. Like, Phil, sorry. What more can I do? I keep telling people put earphones in and use a microphone. Like I keep telling them, but no, they just don't listen to me, Phil. They just they come in with a can of beans with a fucking string hanging on the end of it. They shout into it and they hope everything fucking works. So there's nothing I can do.
No, it's shocking.
Fredo's telling me to take your bra off and relax. Go fuck yourself, Fredo. If you had to deal with the show you had to deal with today, you'd know about it. Like literally, fellas fucking logging the volumes to listen to the show last night and what issue he had. So there we go. Sorry, Fredo, I'm only buzzing off you. Go on.
Jesus.
No, it's annoying me now. Go on.
Sorry. So now I'm not. I'm not even talking to you now. I'm just gonna turn me back. I was going to make some type of statement on the squad size, but the only thing I've got to say on this topic here is, Pete, I told you were mad back in November. I
I
told you
was
your
worried
take.
though.
He's not letting
We
this
didn't
go.
start off great. Remember, we did not
I
start.
told
off
I told you your take was ridiculous, and you were giving out stink about Queevy and Kelleher. And all I'm saying to you is, told you so. And I don't
Yeah,
say that
yeah.
too often, but I
And
told you so.
I've said it, and that's one of the reasons I agreed to do this topic. However, we started off horrendously, and remember at that stage we need to bring this body in, we need to bring that body in. This such a body's gone. It did not look good, and
When you say we, I want you to take
the
that
club,
back.
the club.
We didn't.
Well,
Pete said.
yeah. if anybody
Pete
remembers,
said.
if anybody remembers in the chat, we weren't in this anything like the scenario that we're in now, and it did not look like we could be. To be honest with you,
I told you to just
Phil,
relax.
when did we start off horrendously?
I don't know. He's mad. I told you, and I said at the time, Pete, you're mad. I said this.
look, give me the first 6 results, Gav.
1-1 away to Chelsea. Beat Bournemouth
Okay.
3-1, beat Newcastle 2-1, beat Villa 3-0, beat Wolves 3-1, beat LASK 3-1, beat West Ham 3-1, beat Leicester 3-1, lost to Tottenham with 9 men and a goal disallowed, beat Union St. July 2-0, drew with Brighton, beat Everton, beat Toulouse, beat Forest, beat Bournemouth, drew with Luton, lost to Toulouse, dead rubber, beat Brentford, drew with Man City, beat Lask, beat Fulham, beat Sheffield United, beat Palace, lost to St. July.
Hang on a minute. The Fulham game, though. I remember it was after the Fulham game.
So no, you just said we started horrendously. Fulham was on the 3rd of December, Pete.
We were terrible.
We've lost 2 games this season. One
Gav,
with 9 men,
that
9
Fulham
men
game.
and a goal disallowed. All right,
The
and the
first
second
half
and the other one was Arsenal, which we deserved to be beaten in.
The first half of that game, Gav. The first half of that Fulham game.
Oh, so you mean you started that game poorly?
Of course, but I remember coming on here and losing my reason over that 45 minutes, just thinking it was as inept. I remember looking at the left back Chimikas and just thinking it's like if you deliberately went out to have a bad game, you couldn't play as badly as he did. Kelleher was all over the place. Fulham, who are terrible, we made Fulham look like, I don't know, Paris Saint-Germain. It was just awful. It was awful. But you're right, we won the game. There's a lot of games there that we won early doors, in fairness, that you should expect to win. But I'd love to look at when we scored, when we conceded, because I know we were going through patches where we were, it's 1-0 down again, and we're pulling it round, and I was losing my reason. Nothing is ever straightforward with Liverpool. But I did say at the time that I'm turned into the typical spoiled rotten Liverpool fan. I want an easy life. I want to be 2-0 up after 25 minutes, and I want to sit back and enjoy the rest of the game.
Well, you're not alone, because when Jota got injured at the weekend, the amount of people you'd see online going, that's the season over. You might as well knock off the telly and just fucking take up long balls. You know, like, and there is, and Pete, like, all joking aside, there is loads of Liverpool fans out there that literally want 13 wins in a row. Okay, they want to win all the games in the Europa League, all the games in the FA Cup, the League Cup final, and if anything comes in between them, if a draw happens, if you can see the goal, if a fella goes down injured, it's literally not good enough. They'll get to the end of the season with a load of trophies going, yeah, but how good were we really? You know, the sort of way. And it's like fucking insane.
Yeah, I'd swear, and it's probably the period that Phil and I grew up in together, watching John Barnes basically walk on water. You know that was ours. Certainly my standard. Do you know what I mean? Phil is a lot more pragmatic than I.
Red Steve was at the Fulham game, and in Pete's defence, we were shy.
We were awful.
We were. Yeah, we absolutely were.
Awful.
The one thing I'm grateful for that game, it showed us that Endo could play. I couldn't believe him in the second half. Couldn't believe it, because a lot of people, myself included, were like,
but that's the start of a really good run he goes on, because he plays. I think he plays about 7 in a row from there on in, 7, 8 in a row, and he's the only player in that whole period not to miss a game.
Pete, it's been a long time I said to you, Pete, that's absolute nonsense. But that night I told you that was absolute nonsense when you're going on about the squad, and I was absolutely now it's one thing when we look back at the season. I'm going to remind you of this again, and when you keep bringing this topic up, I'm going to remind. And every now and then, I'm just going to throw in.
Every time it's just going to be. It feels gone. November. Remember November? It's just.
I know, but listen.
No, I'm not doubting you're delighted with the form.
We've got 2 trophies in the cabinet, and one of them's the Premier League. I'd be the first to go. Yes, and I was completely wrong from the beginning.
Well, you'd be happy to know, Phil, we're winning the league.
By the way, I always said this. I was at the first leg of Liverpool-Barcelona. We lost 3-0, and I remember just thinking, just as long as we're not embarrassed at Anfield, as long as we're not embarrassed. Never in my wildest dreams with the injuries and well, it was just injuries, wasn't suspension that we had for that night.
I told you to hold your piss. I said to you, listen, this is, and I think me and Gav actually had this debate. Which I argued that night that this is the best squad that I can think of under Klopp. And I said the argument for me on it was that we had more depth than we've ever had at any point under Klopp's regime. And I stand over that point. And I'm delighted that you bring up subjects saying that the squad is strong enough for running. Interestingly, if I really wanted to argue your point, I'd say to you, it's not at this point in time because there's way too many injuries. And And to win a league title requires luck, right? And
to counter that, I still think we hold the same amount of quality players that others around us hold. Because our squad, I think, is the deepest with regards to quality overall in numbers.
Yeah.
No, I don't disagree with you, but what I do think is that the squad has now been fully stretched, and the number of games we're going to have to play because we refuse to just knock one of the cups on the head, right? As we head back into Europa, plus
and we shouldn't.
Yeah, I think we should knock the FA Cup on the head. Not even.
No. Just keep going winning games.
The FA Cup is a pointless tournament to show you, and we can have
the fans. I have to disagree with you. I love a cup final. Love it. I don't care what it is. I love a day out.
You can love it. You can love it, but you're wrong. And everyone can love it.
Phil hates the cups. Hates them.
You have to. That's the problem with the lower league teams and all this. They don't invest in these cups.
Oh, the lower league teams should.
They did.
But they don't anymore. You see championship teams now that are anywhere near the top of the championship. They're putting out reserve sides in the FA Cup.
And they're right to. They're right because it's a pointless competition. There's no need of part in it. They should scrap it. They shouldn't have anyone.
Yeah, but when it comes to Liverpool, right? Liverpool play Luton on Wednesday. They play Chelsea in the final on Sunday. Then they play Southampton midweek in the FA Cup, right? It's no different to what Liverpool have been doing for years. Every fucking Saturday, every Wednesday, every Saturday, every Wednesday. And was it 63 or 64 games he played in 22, 20 or 21, 22? And it's, look, they might go out of the FA Cup against Southampton next week. They may lose the FA. They may lose the League Cup.
But Gav, I'll say one thing. Klopp, and this is his last season, sadly, he's very clever. He's the type of guy, and the club is run in the type of way where he might shock us over the next 3 games with the lads that are back. And I don't think it's designed to shock us. I think he's pulling out all the tricks. All of a sudden, Szoboszlai might be back. There might be fellas back that you're going, I thought he was supposed to be out for another few weeks. I honestly think that man, he has shocked me with everything that he's done. Literally at every point. Pulling players in and back in. And honestly, I remember saying, and here's another whop. You think that was the squad call that I made was a bad one? We got beaten by Bournemouth in 2016, right? There, 4-3. And I remember making the comment long before I was involved with you guys that your man Klopp, your man, as I called him, is one-dimensional, doesn't have a plan B. He's not going to last at this club. And next of all, he just changes around and he brings in fellas that, we needed to sort out the back. He just does his job. The rest.
Can I ask you to do something for me, Pete? Can you write down on a piece of paper, right, that Liverpool aren't going to win a league game, are going to get beaten on Sunday, knocked out the FA Cup and disqualified from the Europa League? Can you write down a bit of paper? Because if you do that, we'll win everything. It'll be fucking amazing. I'll take it to the bank.
But again, if you look back at that game, anybody in the chat that remembers that game, the 4-3 way back at, it could have been Dean Court in Bournemouth. Anybody will remember how frustrating it was. We had Karius in goal. It was just
We were 2-0 and 3-1 up in that
we were
game.
playing that expansive heavy metal football that he came with first without the players. We had fellas in midfield like Joe Allen, I think, couldn't trap a bag of cement. Do you know what I mean? It was a hangover from Brendan. It was Brendan's players with Klopp's philosophy. I was one of those guys that just wasn't given a chance. Of course, he brings his own lads in, and the rest is history. But my point is, he shocks people. That's what Klopp does. You can't second guess him. When he signed his new contract, it was a shock. When he got Salah to do the same, it was a shock. All these injuries that Phil is rightly calling out that were a bit thin. It would not surprise me if he pulled out 2 or 3 of those lads. Oh, by the way, they weren't badly injured at all. On we go. Because the opposition is the same thing as he goes to the halfway line and does this and looks at the opposition. Because he wants to see the shape they're in, physically and mentally. And it's the type of thing, if I'm in the Southampton dressing room or the Luton dressing room training session tonight, I'm thinking, right, lads, we have a chance there. Without him, without Alisson, without this, we have a chance. And you're preparing mentally for a weak Liverpool, and all of a sudden you're hit with a stronger side. Immediately, you're human. Your head just goes, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I just think Klopp is that good.
Well, I'm still on board the quadruple bus, and no one's getting me off it until results say different. I don't give a fuck. And people can call me, way too optimistic. And I said to Shawnee today, we're winning that league anyway. And he goes, you say that fucking every year. I do, yeah. I do. But I'm telling you, that it's the 19th of February. There's 13 league games to go and Liverpool at top. Come on. You know what I mean? If you're not on board now, when are you ever fucking getting on board? Just enjoy it. I think people are afraid to... they're afraid to commit in case the Liverpool don't win and they go, that was a waste of time committing.
18, 19, Gav.
Yeah. 18, 19 till the death, and then we just went and tore it apart the next year. So
yeah, but
anyway.
And then we got when we get 98 points and not
97 points.
Pete, it won't be 97 points or anything like that this year. It'll be 91 or 92 points to win the league.
Well, 96 is the max Liverpool can get now.
Yeah,
I think 91 does it. I think if you drop over 5 points between now and the end of the season, you're gone.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's where I am.
Because there's too many. There's ourselves, Arsenal. Arsenal have a sniff about themselves because they were in this thing last year and they have a bone to pick that they fell off terribly from the end of March onwards. So they're going to be trying to go out and prove to everyone in the world that they're that they've got over this and they've learned from the fact that they failed and they're now like an equal to Manchester City. They're the true rivals as opposed to Liverpool. In their head, they need to win a league title to do it, right? But that's not the case. So I think we need to just get through, been off the FA Cup, get through the League Cup final, have a bit of fun, stick out the lads that got you there, not worry about the result too much. Don't worry about the FA Cup, bin that off. Don't even turn up for it. I'd send like an under 16s team or something like that to Southampton.
Who will beat Southampton, by the way? Who will beat Southampton? They're terrible.
Hopefully not terrible. Southampton got beaten at the weekend, the first loss in 25 games or something. Yeah, they're not that good. Well, they're part of some of the teams we played already. Just saying.
This fella in the chat was talking about young Bradley tearing it up at Bolton. Listen, just don't talk to me about that level. Talk about this level. I'm delighted that young Bradley cut his teeth and his balls dropped at a small club at a small level. But don't compare that level. The gap has gone too big.
I don't know what you're talking about, but fair play. Anyway,
the gap between the Premier League and the Championship, Phil. I mean, it's gone too big.
League One Bolton.
Yeah. So you're saying that the League One is harder then?
No, I'm saying the gap has gone too big. Somebody in the chat said that Conor Bradley, I said he's done all right, and they were like, oh, he's done really well at Bolton. I'm like, don't talk to me about doing really well at Bolton. Do you know what I mean? Don't talk to me. Like it's. I don't rate going out and doing really well at Bolton, to be honest with you. The young fella is just a really good player. You know what I mean? Another one that's come in, and as I said earlier on, over the space of 60 minutes, just changed the whole perception. He's incredible. I mean, another one that the FAI decided to let slip through their bleeding fingers. Don't even get me started.
They were too busy chatting to Neil Lennon, see what the crack was.
Yeah. What are you up to? not up to much. I might be writing a book. Come here to me, Gav. Talk about writing a book. Before we get there, right? We're going to do a bit of selfless self-promotion on this one. So this is a tough thing, right? So anyway, everyone in the chats, we've mentioned it, right? I'm plugging it from tomorrow. I've actually changed my Twitter handle to Quest 5 for 5.
Have you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Big stuff
I'm
going
just.
on. Are we going to talk about Xavi Alonso as well?
We will now in a second.
He's great and handsome. End off.
Right. So basically, right. I'm going to be doing 5 events, as I've told you all, over the next 8 months. The first one is this day, 3 weeks, I'll be finished. I'll tell you all how I got on. I was out doing my last big training session at the weekend, and I managed to do the 45k in 2 hours 25 minutes. Which, if I do that on the day, will put me close to being in top 15 in the race. Right? That's an all age group. So if I can turn that around, right, there's a chance, Gav, I could do top 10 in the first race. Right? That's all.
Right. Are we talking Olympics here? Are we talking Olympics?
Talking Olympics, right? So
I would love nothing more, right, than Phil Casey of Ireland at 48 years of age, right, in fucking where's the next Olympics on? This year, is it?
Paris.
Is
it this year in Paris?
Paris
right.
This year in Paris.
So 47-year-old Phil Casey from Ireland, right, with a big mad cycling vest on, I'm just turning up going, yeah, I'm here. You're qualified in Glendalough.
I'm in.
Fucking came 5th behind some 48-year-old fella.
No, mine talking on, so that's the training, right? So what I want you all to do, and look, I'm going to be doing updates on the channel. Probably I'll talk to Gav about it in terms of what it is. I'm hoping Gav will come along and do some video as well in terms of some of the events I'm going to be doing. Just to have, if you
give me a backer on your bike, we could use a GoPro.
I think I may deal with Gav as well. I might get you a little like one of those electric bikes that you see all the place.
Yeah. Or even a set of pegs on the back of your bike. I'll stand on the pegs with a camera and it'll be fucking deadly.
Anyway, look, the most important thing is go to the donate site if you can. If
the link is in the description.
Link's in the description. It's the simplest link in the world. It's idonate.ie/quest545. It's the simplest thing in the world, right? You can choose to donate what you want. And the best thing about idonate is that you can choose how much of your own contribution goes to keeping that website funded. So every penny you put in your donation goes to the charity, right? The charity is the Laura Lynn Foundation. They're the Irish. It's an Irish children's hospital and hospice for really sick kids. They do great work with kids who have serious problems and stuff like that, and it gives a chance for the parents and the families to have that support that they don't get, and they're not getting in the health service over here. And the other side of it, obviously, is the end-of-life care, which is, I'll tell you, Kev O'Sullivan said it right. It's something I hope I never have to use. I have 4 kids. I feel passionate about the work that the guys do down Laura Lynn, and that's why I wanted to do something. I'll probably never do anything like this again. I said last year... Yeah, what I said last year after run the 26k up the mountains, I said to my other half, I said, that's it, I'm done. I'm not doing this again. I'll do the 13, but I'm not doing the 26. And if we're close to the 5k, I'll do the 26 again this year because it's hell. It's hell on 2 legs, right? So that's what I'm going to be doing. Please go and donate. If you know anyone, please go and donate. And if you know anybody, any businesses or anything like that want to donate, sponsor, let me know because we're working various different things. I got somebody to sponsor all the gear that I have to wear for doing the events, which is great. And then I'm hopefully getting somebody on board to do some jackets and stuff to keep us warm after. There's 2 or 3 people who are also involved. Steve, who used to be on the channel, he's helped me with an awful lot of stuff, and he's going to be at a good few of the events. So, yeah, we're doing that. And I'm sorry for boring everyone, but I feel passionate about this.
For a good cause.
It's not boring. Can I counter yours with theirs?
What?
No, I'm not even messing. The link is in the description for Phil's one. It's a humongous challenge he's taken on, and trying to explain the Laura Lynn Foundation, I think it's called, isn't it? Laura Lynn Foundation. Trying to explain that is difficult. So what I do is type in Laura Lynn, LauraLynn, into Google, and you will find it, and it explains everything that they do. And look,
amazing.
Well, we always get to the end of the year and we've raised money for Laura Lynn or whatever. That's kind of the biggest thing. Forget views and all that stuff. It's all about getting word out there for charity and stuff like that. We have ours with fan support and field banks and the Lighthouse, and the link is in the description for that as well. And I keep saying it. This is what's probably annoying me actually, because I keep saying it and people, I've not even seen it shared anywhere, so it's starting to annoy me. But I always say, right, if everyone watching this put in €1 into both of them links,
Yeah.
and everyone that downloads it put €1 into every one of them links. Either of them
We'll be
links.
there.
We'd be there in no time. Like, genuinely no time. €1 each, honestly. So, yeah, going, Fields one is a huge effort. It's like, we'll joke about it, we'll laugh about it, we slag him about it, but honestly, we wouldn't even think twice about trying to do it. So that's the sort of level he's at. And, like, you know what I mean? He has a bus pass, so he gets the bus down to the starting lineup for free, and then he gets
and then tears through the event.
he gets the meals on wheels down when he gets home, gets his dinner delivered to him. But no, it's phenomenal what he's trying to do. So check that out and check everyone out as well, because
Do
as
please,
I
and
always
the fan support in food banks is huge in England. But I know for people who don't know Ireland, the Lighthouse is a huge charity. There's someone who's very close to me, who's volunteering down there once every fortnight, and what she sees is just it will break your heart. But
and
it's
she's
also
probably related to someone that's very, very close to me that goes down there once a fortnight as well. So there you go.
it's very uplifting in terms of what goes on. Right, so I've got a huge love for that. For what the guys doing, it's a massive thing. But if you can do it, as I said to you, get out there, get me sponsorship, get me money, get everything, put all the money into whatever you do, and feel better about it. And I'll do all the hard work, and we'll do videos. And you'll be happy to know that on Saturday, the 9th of March, I'm getting up at 3:45 in the morning to drive across the Kenmare so that I can start cycling at 9:30 in the morning. So and start the first race. So I'll let you all know. I'll send you a little picture of what it's like at that time in the morning, and hopefully I don't kill myself in the meantime. So that's the most important.
But don't, because there's 5 challenges. If you kill yourself in the first one, we're fucked.
We're banjack. Somebody else will have to do them, and I don't know who's going to do it, but we won't. But look, anyway, my topic was going to be who, apart from Alonso, who are the contenders for the Liverpool job. That's my topic, right? But you know what? I'm going to keep it to next week because we are getting tight in time. So, Gav, it's too good not to get into, right? So give us
amazing
footballers.
So I was away with work during the week, right? And I was sitting down with a lad named Ken, and we were at to be working all day, and we sat down with a couple of beers. And we were sitting having these few beers, and we were talking. I was telling him we do the podcast and stuff like that. And he's like, "Oh, brilliant, yeah." And he was like, "Do you do any random stuff?" I was like, "We love the fucking random stuff." I started finding them links of shows, started just random. Going back years ago, me and Andy talking about Easter eggs and what was Easter eggs and water machines, water dispensers on warehouse floors, how they shouldn't be allowed and stuff like that, how they should be against the law, right? But we got into it, and he said to me, "What's the story? Like, do you remember Steve Bruce used to write the novels?" And I went, "Jeez, I forgot all about that." So we start trying to have a bit of a discussion over ex-footballers that dabbled in other stuff, or current or ex-footballers that you'd love to see them dabble in X, Y, or Z, right? So I had to look up Steve Bruce. Right, so Steve Bruce, a mad bastard, right? Mad fucking bastard. So I looked it up. So anyone that doesn't know Steve Bruce, he managed Birmingham, Wigan, Palace, Hull, Sunderland, West Brom. There's might be a few more I'm missing. But he was a centre half for Manchester United. He won the league with them, I think, in 92, 93, and 93, 94. But he apparently, and it's not apparent, it's real. He in the late 90s / early 2000s wrote novels, okay, and basically he based it on a fictional football manager, right, that was managing a football team, but he was solving crime at the same time, right? Now I have to tell you that his books, right, when I typed in Steve Bruce novel, right, and images, right, the 3 books were called Striker, Sweeper, and Defender. Right, that's it, right? Absolutely unbelievable gear, right? They were just random pictures, right? Anyway, so I had to look up a couple of reviews, and it's fantastic, right? So I'm just going to give you 2 because I know we're stuck with time, right?
No,
Irish writer Seamus O'Reilly guided us through Steve Bruce's bizarre literacy career on the latest edition of Behind the Lines. This was from August 3rd, 2021. And the clip at the start says, filled with murders, kidnappings, Bosnian Warlords, Steve Bruce's bewildering murder mystery novels, all while he's a Premier League manager, right? Fantastic. But then I seen this fucking review, right? James Orr, on September the 11th, 2021, so he's probably in bad form because that date puts a lot of people in bad form. He says, he gives it 5 stars, right? But he says, straddles the line between being so bad it's good and being simply bad. The writing, plotting and characters are all dreadful. And Bruce writes at around the level of a fairly good 11-year-old. Yet I still thoroughly enjoyed reading this in spite of its flaws, mostly because Bruce's amateur writings reveal a lot about him. My favourite moments came when he swerved into Alan Partridge territory when describing the climate control system on a Jaguar, despite being in the middle of trying to solve a murder. It's absolutely fantastic stuff. Right, so I kept looking some up, and it's like this fella's banging on during this book while he's trying to solve a murder about a 3.2 Jaguar E-Type, and it's fucking mad. So I don't know if we'll find any more players that dabble in stuff or want to recommend stuff, but genuinely, if you want to laugh, right, type Steve Bruce novels into Google, just start hitting images, start hitting reviews, and it is fucking fantastic. So I just wanted to lighten people's day with that. It's amazing, gear. That's all I've got on it, Phil.
No, it's good enough, and it's a good way to finish off tonight because it's been a nice trip. It's been great to meet.
I kept this from earlier. Suckbeer Secon says, striker, sweeper and defender. The book centered on fictional football manager Steve Barnes, based on Bruce, who solved more. Based on Bruce, who solved murder mystery and thwarted terrorists. It's absolutely fantastic.
He's not even hiding, is he?
No, he doesn't even change the first name of the fella, and then the second name starts with a B as well. It's fucking brilliant.
Can you imagine him sitting at home, gonna write a book?
Yeah. And just bangs out 3 of them in a year.
Football.
No problem.
No problem. Football.
I'm genuinely go and look at them, right? And if you look at the front covers of these and it doesn't show clip art at you, there's something wrong with you. They are absolutely fantastic.
Basically, if you actually dig into this, right, you can figure out what Steve Bruce was doing, right, after training at that period in time in his football career.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a football manager, right? He was watching daytime television with Miss Marple.
He was watching Murder, She Wrote.
And Bertie.
He was buying cars.
Brian says he didn't even have the humility to change the first name of the character.
Right under a fake name, which is what most people actually do.
It's just brilliant. Honestly, do you know what? I've held back a few bits because after this I'm going back in to look at it again because the reviews are just fantastic. And there's some of them that genuinely they've written a proper article on them, you know what I mean? But right at the level of a fairly good 11-year-old, it's just off the charts, isn't it? So there you go.
You know when you used to get books as a kid?
Yeah, it's like Anne and Bertie.
The font used to be bigger than reading a normal book. I want to know his books are big font or actual font. Do you know what I mean? That's right. And are they like one of those where you pick your own ending? So it's like you read the page and it goes, choose one of these, and then you have to go to page 25, 42, or 63 to see what happens.
Oh, God.
Thinking of Steve Bruce, you think that'll be right up his alley. This is a great book.
Well, here's one here from
choose how to spell
from Sports Pages, right? From the website sportspages.com. Striker, and it's literally right. It's literally like it looks like a shot from a high of a football ground, but in the foreground then there's a fella lying in what looks like a Sheffield United strip with blood coming out of his back, right? But it's kind of superimposed over the pitch, even though the pitch is up high. It's called Striker ! Of course, right? The first novel by the former Manchester United captain tells the tale of Steve Barnes, a newly appointed manager charged with leading his fictional club to the Premier League when his promising young striker is found murdered. Agatha Christie, it isn't. Published in 1999 in Leeds by Paragon Press. £320 the book is. Yeah. I'll only show you.
Agatha Christie, it isn't, what?
Look.
If his publisher's in Leeds, he must have been at Newcastle at the time. It's only
I'm
down
not
the
going to be
road.
able to get that. I'll send it on to you. So there you go.
This was written in 1999. So this
Yeah.
is the year
Oh,
that
99.
United. Yeah, this is the year United did the double.
The treble.
Whatever.
Well, he's not there
So,
then.
He's
He's
gone
not
by
there.
then, isn't he? Yeah.
No, he's
gone by
off
then.
writing books.
He's
Yeah.
trying to.
Doing his
In my head,
coaching
he's went,
badges.
stick all your trousers up your hole. I have a book to write here.
Agatha
It's
Christie won't
absolutely
replace herself.
fantastic. Anyway, Red Steve says, the garage is full. I'd say he was fucking kept the house warm for years off the back of the books that he didn't sell. But anyway, I'll leave you with that because I thought that was just
I want
fantastic.
to get hold. I want to get hold of this book.
You will. Go on to Amazon, you get them.
Just
I
look
did
at his
not- I
glass. He's not allowed them.
I might order the three of them, right? I might order the three of them and then do a member show where I just read the book.
Oh my god! Did you see? Did you see what Sweeper is? It's basically a picture of him standing in a dugout, right? Standing over an Israeli flag,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the defender has what looks like Josimar, a picture of Christ the Redeemer in Rio, and somebody got on holiday with their missus.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I tell you, it's absolutely fantastic. Like there's just endless amounts of opportunity here. Like I'm just saying.
Should do a show just reading extracts from it and just.
I think I might just do a show reading the book.
Full garb doing it, you know.
Yeah.
Repose
This is
and all that.
basically this is what I did in the last 4 months.
Yeah. No, what he just made up in his own head. He just wrote it all down and went to Paragon Press and went, listen, lash fucking 10,000 copies of it out and get into Easton's as quick as you can.
What I did and what I watched on television with the names changed.
Imagine Steve Bruce in Easton's, or what's the one in England, the big bookshop in England.
Hey, Smith.
W.H. Smith, or
W.H.
whatever.
Smith, yeah.
Right, imagine Steve Bruce sitting in W.H. Smith in Manchester, right, in the shopping centre in Manchester, with hundreds of these books around him, and like literally someone's designed that on clip art, and he's like, "What it's about?" Oh, well, it's about this fictional manager, right, called Steve Barnes, and he's managing this team. What happens? His young striker gets killed. And instead of taking training, he's off trying to gather evidence. It's fucking insane. It's absolutely insane.
Hang on. That was Alan 5 there. Steve Barnes' treble 99.
Steve Barnes' treble of 99 over Manchester United's treble. Like, there's no doubt Steve Bruce has walked away from the year 1999 and went, no one's had a more successful year this year than me. It's absolutely brilliant.
Why is the striker about 28 foot tall?
I don't know. Like, I can't explain it. I can't. Or maybe I will be able to explain it. Hold on. Let me try explain. Can I do this? I'm sure. Like, I can't do it right now. But like, honestly, it's just fantastic. I've heard of it before, but I actually looked into it, and it's just go and check it out. It's just a light in your mouth. So there you go.
Look, did you see a defender goes missing before a crucial game. Is it kidnap or truancy? Or could it be murder?
So that's all I've got to give this week. I've no deep insights in football. I just this popped into my head after I had talking to Ken during the week, and I went, you know what, I'm going to bring that up. So I'm glad I did. So there you go, Steve Bruce. No messing
Steve
about.
Bruce,
Absolutely
author.
on fire from
Author.
May till November 1999, ploughing through books. No problem to.
I want to read these books.
I'm going to get them.
It won't take you long. It won't take you long to read them.
No, someone else said there is just any picture books.
Just knock at Steve Bruce's gaff. He's
Yeah.
gonna have copies of them.
Steve, go out into the shed there and grab me a copy of each, will you? Do you know what I'd love to do? I'd love to get the three of them, right? And wherever he turns up next, go up to him and ask him to sign them for him. You wouldn't sign this for me, Steve, would you? Who's it to? To Steve. Steve, yes, to Steve Barnes, my friend Steve Barnes.
I want Gerard to continue his team. It's about an English undercover agent, right, who's been sent across the world to manage teams, but spy on the nations that he's in. This is like there's a whole wave of these books we can come up with.
I want Roy Hodgson to like. I want Roy Hodgson, right? I want Roy Hodgson after leaving Palace today. I want him to get the itch in about 3 months' time and just take a job as a parking warden somewhere. Just walking around warning people about where they're parking their cars. That's what I want Roy Hodgson to do. Look, we've run out of time. But Steve Bruce, there's my gift from me to you. Go and check it out because it's fantastic.
I'm going off to read these books. Anyway, that's been the show. That's been the chat about the squad with P. That's been Bertie on the media. And that's been Gav on striker.
Defender, sweeper.
Defender and sweeper.
Yeah.
The
£320 at your local Easons.
Sorry, Bill. I found a sport. I don't know if you know about it. I found it last week. The XL World Championships.
Right, what's it do?
Now, hang on. Is this the extreme one?
No XL sheets.
Yeah.
It's a World Championship in how to present
In XL?
In XL, and it's in front of thousands.
No, I've watched this. I'm sorry, but I've actually watched this.
Yeah. But hold on, isn't Shawnee's the world champion of that?
They give these people problems to solve in Excel, right? And it's outrageous.
Yeah, Shawnee's All Ireland champion. He has been.
And
they
knock out people as who the slowest gets knocked out in each round until they get down to the final two. Yeah, I know all about it. But come here to me, actually. The one I wanted to talk about, I mentioned it on for anyone who's not a member and they should be a member, right? We mentioned it on the greatest last week. So the extreme games is starting, Gav. Forget the Olympics, right? The extreme games, right? Where drugs are legal and everyone's encouraged to juice. So everyone's on a level playing field.
Right. Okay, well, but just on the greatest, me and you only this week. Keats and Liverpool for the match. Yeah. So it's just me and you. So we have 2 sports to go through this week, right? So pick them and send them on to me.
We picked them last week. Did you not listen?
No.
No, I failed. Tennis and motor racing.
Oh. What are you taking?
Now, if there's just the 2 of us, we can just work it out ourselves. We can pick both.
Yeah, you take one and I'll take one. That's how you work it out. I'll have tennis, please.
You take tennis, I'll take motor racing.
Perfect. Right. Thursday, 10 p.m. for all members. Right.
All members. Okay. That's been the show. That's been Gav. That's been Bertie. That's been P. And as I said, the extreme games are coming up. Knock those Olympic games in the head. The real athletes are at the extreme games. And like the real athletes at the extreme games. Like real athletes. Right?
Big up Steve Bruce Ultras.
The marathon in the extreme games is 26 days long.
Yeah.
26 days long.
Yeah. You have to do it lying down on a skateboard.
No, that's the War Games. The Extreme Games is 26 days long and no sleeping. Right, that's been the show. Support the charities, get your donations in. Thanks very much for living and spread the word. Spread the word to the world. That's what we need to hear. Remember, €2 ahead and we're over the 10 grand on both sides. That's what we want to do. Good night, God bless. Talk to you next week.